There's none to spare, none to waste. In offices, in homes all over America, the words are taken up as the people suddenly become aware of the danger. The airwaves are filled with the news. We have waited too long. We lack the weapons to defend ourselves in such a crisis. Build, prepare is the cry. We must have speed and more speed now. Quickly, the government springs into action and initiates a gigantic rearmament program. A program designed to make America the arsenal of democracy. Challenging the ominous tick of the robber time comes the more cheerful, sizzling splash of molten steel, the reassuring crackle of the welder's torch, the hopeful song of power humming across the land, speeding the wheels of industry, lighting the way to a nation's security. In the great factories of General Electric, 120,000 men and women are engaged in the titanic struggle of producing the sinews of defense. Lynn, Pittsfield, Fort Wayne, Erie, Philadelphia, Bloomfield, Bridgeport, Schenectady, each doing its part, responding to the challenge with grim determination. The American worker becomes the man of the hour. In his reliable hands rests the destiny of our great democracy. So he spares no effort, he spares no sacrifice. 45, 50, 60 hours a week, every week. No time to play or idle now. Day after day he toils. Far into the night while the cities sleep, he labors, dedicating himself to defending the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. His tools, training, intelligence, and horsepower. His enemy, time. This is Tom, a typical American worker about to start the day. Symbolic of the thousands of unsung heroes who regularly champion the battle against time. He's a machinist, friendly, intelligent, and ambitious, fully aware of his responsibility to democracy and his fellow countrymen. Having finished breakfast, he's ready to go off for the day's work, off for the shop, a 15-minute walk away. All through the night, work has pushed ahead. And as the morning shift is about to take over, the streets begin to fill with seemingly endless streams of cars, buses, and trolleys. All of them are crowded with anxious men and women, eager to top yesterday's production record. Into the parking fields go the cars, hundreds of them, bright evidence of the higher standard of living of the American worker. At each gate, uniformed guards stand on duty, checking for badges of identification. No one passes unless he wears a badge to prove his right to enter. There's Tom now. Roy will be glad to see him. He's worked hard all night and is anxious to get home to bed. Production doesn't stop here. The friendly changeover takes but a moment. Tom will go on where Roy left off, machining metal to precise dimensions for vital armaments, working until late afternoon when another man will take over. Others like him are running planers, lathes, milling machines, grinders, shapers, every conceivable type of cutting mechanism. And as they work, so do many more at similar tasks. Some at giant boring mills, others at massive presses, some in foundries turning liquid metal into myriads of needed castings, some in forge shops, beating shapeless ingots of steel into tough usefulness. All these and more, the workers of American industry producing, and producing more, confident in the knowledge that at their fingertips, multiplying their ability 1,000-fold, is twice the horsepower available to workers of any other nation. Draftsmen and engineers tackling the complex problems of designing new and better mechanisms, of improving equipment that already has no superior. Scientists and research workers seeking new formulas and knowledge, hidden truths that might prove valuable to the cause. And behind all of them, the organizers, the managers and office staffs, who plan and coordinate all activity for the greatest speed and efficiency. An army of workers united in the task of beating time, of crowding 7 years' labor into 2. For many months, the employment offices have been busy. Thousands of men and women have been added to the payrolls. And most of these new employees have gone into actual defense work. A host of others are training for it. Skilled workers by the score. Inexperienced recruits by the hundreds, fresh from the high schools and colleges of the land, directing their energies toward mastering the jobs to which they are assigned, learning the subtle skill of craftsmanship from willing veterans, men whose superior workmanship has withstood the test of time, men who take unusual interest in giving the youngsters the benefits of their invaluable experience. And in almost every major factory, construction work goes on with vigorous haste. New buildings spring up almost overnight to enlarge plant facilities to cope with the swelling needs of defense. The tremendous job of completing innumerable assignments on time calls for more space, more hands, more speed, and industry quickly responds. But what are the results of this great effort? What does it breed in the way of armaments? Behind closed doors, the blueprint becomes the finished product, and out rolls more and more of the vital defense equipment so urgently needed. Aviation accessories. Inspectors carefully test and examine a variety of delicate aircraft instruments to be sure that they will safely guide the pilots in their paths of flight. And to protect them from the biting cold of the stratosphere, where temperatures sink to 70 degrees below zero, manufacture gets underway on a new product, the electrically heated flying suit. Output on the wondrous turbosupercharger is doubled, racing to meet the ever-increasing demand for this crucial device, rushing to sweep the wings of this great nation through the stratosphere to crowd the air into plane cabins and engines so that men may breathe and engines yield full power. Radio equipment. New buildings have been erected to speed the construction of transmitters and receivers. In buildings old and new, radio apparatus moves down for assembly, preparing to further coordinate the forces of land, sea, and air. Ordnance, gun mounts, and intricate fire control equipment are part of the unparalleled program as the facilities of the industry are turned to items outside its ordinary manufacturing experience and practices. Another shipment of pack howitzers is ready for test. These small cannons, fast, hard-hitting, and mobile, have a range of more than 5 miles, will hurl 15-pound shells over hills, even drop projectiles accurately behind buildings. More are being turned out in 3 months' time than were formerly in service in the entire Army. Every hour sees fresh developments, increased effort, greater progress. Here, traveling power plants to generate electricity for searchlights of 800 million candle power await a final checkup and road test. In another building, the searchlights themselves swiftly take form. These new eyes of defense, peering through the night, exploring the sky, will be ready to spot hostile planes for anti-aircraft batteries. Their piercing beams will follow the enemy craft, revealing a target miles away. Auxiliary turbine generators to supply light, heat, and power for cruisers and destroyers. Propulsion equipment to drive the fighting ships of our two-ocean navy and the vessels of an expanding merchant marine. Reduction gears of incredible size. Turbines like these, near completion, eager to turn the propellers and urge the new ships of the fleet through the waves. Already launched are the battleships North Carolina, Washington, South Dakota, Massachusetts, and scores of smaller vessels. They hit the water months ahead of schedule, and the record-breaking work goes on. From Philadelphia to Pittsfield, Erie to Schenectady, Lynn to Fort Wayne, Bloomfield to Bridgeport, come not only actual armaments, but a great flood of switchgear, motors, generators, transformers, turbines, regular equipment by which electricity accelerates the defense effort across the continent. Electricity, indomitable ally, lifeblood of production. Thanks to electricity, to the greatest industrial system in the world, to the American workman, the wheels whir on to victory from factory to factory, from coast to coast. Another shift has come on duty. Tom is on his way home now, proud of his important role in defending the American way of life. He, too, is a soldier. His uniform, overalls, or dungarees. His decorations, sweat and grime. His weapons, tools, a driving will, a steady hand. Here is a symbol of encouragement, of faith and hope, inspiring confidence to face the job ahead, to beat the schedule. He knows that it is late, that every beat of time brings the menace nearer. But he also knows that across the nation, he and his fellow workers are crowding weeks into days, days into hours, hours into minutes, determined that their effort shall not be too late, that America shall become the invincible fortress of freedom.